celebrating junior bowling, elevating junior bowlers. This is Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Live on tape from Bolero Roswell in Roswell, Georgia, just a few miles up Georgia 400 from the perimeter that wraps around the ATL. This is Coach Randy, welcoming you to episode 116 of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, the 2020 Thin Mints Open. Every year around this time, Girl Scouts all across America become pushers of one of the most addictive substances known to man, as they sell their Girl Scout cookies to unsuspecting and willing addicts, such as myself. This young girl may look adorable, but she is a dealer of these addictive treats and has had me under her spell for several years now. Here we see her taking delivery on a stock of the delicious Girl Scout Thin Mints, which some of us find curiously irresistible. Rachel Moffat, yes, Hunter's little sister, along with her mom and dad, delivered the goods this week. And today, in addition to the winner on Prodigy Bowlers Tour getting to sign the Coveted Trophy Pin, they'll also receive a box of Thin Mints from my own personal booty of Thin Mints, which I have made available as a prize today, rather than eating all 8 boxes of my order all by myself. You're welcome. Let's meet our 5 finalists. Qualifying in the 5th position today is Josh Greenberg. He'll face our 4th place qualifier, Christian Manel, in the opening match. The winner of that match will face Aiden Bailey of Loganville, Georgia, who bowls at Stars and Strikes in Loganville and is making his first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour today. The winner of that match will advance to meet our number 2 qualifier and another Prodigy first-timer, Noah Hogard, who bowls at Cherokee Lanes in Canton, Georgia. And the winner of that match will bowl for the championship against our tournament leader, Hunter Moffat, who's still looking for his first Prodigy title of the 2019-20 season. And that's our field today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. With such a small field, and with the kids in the field being of such varied skill levels, the only fair thing was to stage today's competition with handicap. But we did it a little differently than in the past. Since we're bowling on a sport shot today, we used the USBC's chart to convert everyone's regular league average to a sport shot average, and then set their handicaps at 90% of the difference between their adjusted sport shot averages and 200. A field of 6 began the day, but shrank to 5 when Nolan Kemp withdrew, citing a pulled muscle in his arm. Probably from lifting one too many Girl Scout cookies to his mouth today. That would be my guess anyway. So just 5 kids bowled 2 games of qualifying to seed them in order for our Stepladder Finals. After Game 1, Aiden Bailey led the way with an adjusted score of 238, including handicap. Noah Hogard sat in 2nd place. Josh Greenberg and Hunter Moffat were separated for 3rd by just 1 pin, and Christian Manel was bringing up the rear. Then, just as we were about to swap pairs of lanes for Game 2 of qualifying, we were paid an unexpected visit by the Hefner family, Mom and Dad and their 2 boys, Jake, who's 11, and Joe, who's 4. They told us that Joe is a Prodigy superfan who has watched all of our shows. So I bent the rules a little and let these 2 guys join us and bowl in the 2nd game of qualifying. Now, while they wouldn't be eligible for the stepladder with just 1 game bowled, they both showed a lot of moxie. And little Joe stole everyone's heart. After they completed that 2nd game of qualifying and we had our 5 players seeded for the Stepladder Finals, all the Prodigy kids and I signed a coveted fake trophy pin that these two youngsters could take back with them to Florida. And we held a special ceremony for them to sign it themselves. Well, as you know, we have a little tradition here on Prodigy Bowlers Tour that the winner each week gets to sign, what's that called?
Coveted Trophy Pin.
The Coveted Trophy Pin, that's right. This, ladies and gentlemen, is 4-year-old Joe and his older brother Jake. How old are you, Jake?
11.
11. Joe is a Prodigy super fan who lives down in the Florida Panhandle. And Joe and his brother and their mom and dad brought them up here from Florida today. And they didn't quite get here in time to bowl both qualifying games with us. So you don't get to win today on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and that would entitle you to sign the coveted trophy pin. But we made sort of special arrangements for you. Today, you get to sign your own coveted trophy pin. Go ahead and put your name on it. Okay, needs a little help here. No one's an old hand at this. Go ahead, put your name on there. Let me see. There it is, Joe. And Jake, you get to sign it too, buddy. There it is. And you guys get to take that with you. That's yours to keep as a souvenir for coming all the way from Florida to bowl Prodigy with us today. You guys bowled in the second qualifying game. Did you have fun today?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know these guys? Who's that guy standing behind you?
Noah Kemp.
Huh?
Noah Kemp.
Noah Kemp, that's right. And who's that tall guy over there with the goofy smile on his face?
Christian.
That's Christian, that's right. And see, that those pins are falling for you left and right. So we thank you for coming all the way from Florida to say hello. We say hello right back at you. Give these guys a hand. Credit to Sandy Henderson of Bolero Roswell, who came up with the idea of providing one of those pins for these two young fellows. It certainly made their day and created a lot of goodwill, both for Prodigy Bowlers Tour and the bowling center. And I always like to see that. So with that touching moment behind us, it's time to get down to the business of crowning a champion. I mentioned earlier that they're bowling on a sports shot today, and that sports shot is Paris. At 47 feet, Paris is one of the longest sport patterns we'll see all year on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. A 2-to-1 ratio, so players won't get much help from the oil to guide the ball to the pocket. But at just 21.55 milliliters of oil, that's well below the normal volume spread over a longer pattern. So it won't play quite like long oil sometimes can. Expect to see a fair amount of ball motion today. So let's light the fuse on the championship round. Again, we're bowling handicap. Josh Greenberg is getting 66 pins of handicap per game, and Christian gets 22. That's a difference of 44 pins. So we'll add 44 pins into Josh's score in the very first frame of this opening match, so you won't have to add a thing. Ooh, pretty good ball to start. Ringing 10 for Christian. He's really been working on his game recently. He's pretty much fixed the problem that had bedeviled him for a while, where he wrapped the ball behind his back in the backswing. He's got kind of a circle 8 swing now, but it keeps the ball right on plane. And he's suddenly a lot more accurate. And now his diminutive opponent, Josh Greenberg. And he gets him to mix off the wall, and a shaker strike to begin, and he'll take it. Watch how Josh is keeping his hand more behind the ball now. Lifting straight up. This is something I've really stressed with him. He doesn't do it all the time, but when he does, he gets much more powerful roll through the pins and a more controllable hook. And he carries hits like that. A blower strike. Without a big entry angle. Watch this. Playing in the center of the lane. And that's a double to start. And he increases his lead to 54. Solid strike for Christian. He's also trying to keep his swing a little lower today. That's because of the long oil pattern. Need to keep the speed down. A little higher rev rate for Christian, so he's throwing it out to the right a little farther. And there's a double for Christian. Get another look at this one and his reaction to it. He liked it. And another mixer for Josh, and he's got a turkey out of the gate. And he's got Christian scratching his head. And Christian's got to be thinking, where did this little guy come from? This little guy is about as competitive as any of the players you see on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Wide with that shot. Misses the head pin and leaves the 1-2-4 spare. The recommended way of shooting this is to move your feet about 4 or 5 boards to the right, let the ball cross over to the Brooklyn side, put it right between the 1 and the 2. The 2 will get the 4. But he makes it on the right side. You can do that too. We don't recommend it, but sometimes you get away with it, and Josh is clean through 4 frames. And Christian, with a double working, needs to add to it right here to get back in this match. That's a good one. Watch this one. Watch the 6 pin. The second one from the right. It'll go to the right wall and come back and slap out the 10 pin. Perfectly done. Another strike would cut the lead to 31. That one got away from him. And now he's got a difficult split. The 2-4-6-10. One we don't see all that often. It's almost the super washout with the 1 pin, but he just ticked the 1 down. And he hits the wrong side of the 2 pin and short counts. He leaves 3 standing, and remember, when you leave pins standing and you have a strike working, you lose those pins left standing, not once, but twice. So he loses 6 pins in count instead of just 3. And Josh's lead is up to 61 now. Okay, 10 pin. When you're throwing a lighter weight ball at a slower speed, you're going to leave more soft 10s than ringing 10s. And that's what he's done here. He'll go cross lane at it. He's had trouble with these corner pins. But not this time. So Josh stays clean through 5 frames. And that's what you want to do when you're nursing a lead in a handicap event. Well, now he's left a tricky one. The 4, 5, 7. Of all the baby splits, this one's about as difficult as any. You've got to favor the 4 pins slightly so that you get the 7. Just tick the 5, get a little more of the 4 pin, but there's very little margin for error. And that was close, but you have to be so precise on that split. It's just hard. Watch this. Watch how close he comes. He just misses that 5 by maybe an inch. All right, there's an opening for Christian. And that's what he needs, is more of those. Most importantly, he needs to string them together so he can cut into Josh's lead. Got that thing out to about 9 and sweeps them all down. And a strike there in the 7th cuts the lead to 36. Now remember, Josh began with a 44 pin handicap differential. As we see Christian tomahawk out that 10 pin again like he did earlier. And Josh gets the same hit. This time, instead of the tomahawk on the 10 pin, he gets the love tap. Watch this. Again, it's the 6 pin, the second one from the right. It'll go into the gutter and just lean into the 10 and topple it over. And he does it again for a double. Now remember, Josh started with a 44-pin handicap differential. His 46-pin lead means he's actually picked up 2 pins on Christian scratch. Christian's got to go to the whip now. He's just going to have to strike on every ball, it seems. That's a good one. And that cuts into Josh's lead a little. Watch it again and watch his reaction to it. But this one is critical here in the 9th frame. He needs to keep this string going. Bowled it high in the face and leaves the 6. And now Christian is in trouble. With a spare here in the 9th and 3 strikes in the 10th, Christian would finish with 229. Josh is likely going to finish in the 230s, even if he closes with 2 open frames. So Christian in dire straits now. He's going to need some help from Josh. Couple of open frames and short count. Never like rooting against your opponent, but that's what it's come down to now for Christian. And Josh just labels the pocket. He says, "You want me to do what now? Open? I don't think so." This kid is ecstatic. Well, he just needs a few pins here, and this is over. That'll do it. Josh has just won the opening match, and Christian has not bowled a bad game. He's going to be in the 2 teens with a mark in the 10th, and he never got a whiff. So Josh is going to come up 1 frame shy of a clean game here, save for that open in the 6th when he left the split. Six on the fill ball is going to give Josh a 260 with his 44-pin handicap. That is a 214 scratch. And that is his lifetime high game. And he did it on a sport shot. Well, Christian's going to need to fill 6 here in the next 2 balls just to avoid getting beat scratch by Josh, but it's all academic. Well, at least he's going to avoid getting beat scratch as Josh's proud mom steps in to take a picture of the overhead score sheet. I don't think she even knows she's on TV. So a 219 for Christian, a good game, but man, he got a tiger by the tail, and it's Josh Greenberg who's advancing to face Aiden Bailey in match 2 when we return. Well, Josh Greenberg was so excited at the end of that first match over his best ever scratch score of 216 that he had to take a picture of the overhead score sheet. And when you add the 44-pin handicap differential he was getting from Christian Manel, well, Christian just got a good old-fashioned beatdown. But Christian is undaunted, and he's been bowling about as well lately as I can ever remember him bowling, so I know he'll be back. But it's Josh Greenberg who has advanced to match 2, where he'll face 16-year-old Aiden Bailey. Aiden averages 201 at Stars and Strikes in Loganville, Georgia, and is making his first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour today. In the opening game of qualifying, he put up a strong 214 game to seize the early lead before falling back somewhat in game 2. Aiden had the option, and he wants to finish first, so Josh will start the match. Aiden's handicap is 24, while Josh's is 66. That's a differential of 42 pins, so we'll add 42 to Josh's score in the first frame, so you don't have to add a thing. Oh, and he gets a nosedive to carry with his first ball of the match. Here, we'll take another look at it. Crosses over slightly, but that's the head pin that gets the 6 and knocks it into the 10. A little luck never hurts. Oh, and Aiden sends that one wide on his opening toss. And now he's got trouble right out of the gate. The 1, 2, 8, 10, one of several varieties of washouts. You throw the 1 over into the 10, the ball will get the 2 will get the 8. Oh, he throws a backup at it. And gets it. How about that? So Aiden Bailey makes a big spare in the opening frame. Watch this. Get a good look at his hand position. He's well on the inside of the ball to throw a little left to right ball motion at this. That ball will land right on the 1 and 2. And that's textbook right there. Nicely done. And there is a perfect strike in the second frame. I tell you what, there is much to like about this kid's game. Watch how close he keeps his right elbow to his side. It never leaves his side going back and coming down. He falls off balance at the line to the right. That could be just a little too much spine tilt forward. Josh just missed a little to the right with that one. They're not going to get the same recovery on Paris that they do on the house shot. The 2-8 spare, got to hit it pretty squarely on the face to get that 2 to go straight back and get the 8. Oh, and he gets it on the outside. Man, he's living a charmed life right now. Watch this. He's just going to tick the 2-pin on the right, and the ball creeps behind it and gets the 8 out. Boy, that's the hard way of doing it. But it's a spare. And that one drifts a little high, and now he's got the 3-6-10. We'll see his reaction to this one. His hands go up on his neck. He knew that was trouble as soon as it left his hand. And he just gets the 3 to go. Man, he is living on the edge so far this match. But everything's coming up roses so far for Josh. But now Aiden, with a strike up in the second, has a chance to cut into Josh's lead. But he's wide again and leaves the same washout that he left and made in the first frame. The 1, 2, 8, 10 once again. And he makes it again. Well, well, well. Tell you what, this kid must be a pretty good spare shooter. Watch this. Once again, the backup action. This ball will hook from left to right. And the 1 goes to the wall before it gets the 10 this time. But that keeps him in it. That time the ball went high. And now he leaves the 3-6. He goes to his plastic spare ball for this one. Oh, and he knew he had let that one get too far to the right immediately. You could tell from his body language that he was begging it. Hook a little. It didn't, so that's an open in the 4th for Aiden. And now Josh's lead is 52. But now Josh is having a little trouble finding the pocket. That ball drifts high. He leaves the 6-10. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Josh has been known to have trouble with right corner spares. He doesn't generate a lot of ball speed. He's tried to work on this straight ball release at those right side spares, but it's still a little iffy. But he gets it this time. And that maintains that 50-pin lead. Carefully sets his feet. He's looking up to check the score, trying to do the math. The 42 pins of handicap are not added into the overhead score sheet, and something bothered him there, so he's going to step back and start over. That's a good move. If something doesn't feel right, don't go. Well, it must have felt right there. Can't throw it any better. See his footwork. That's as good a shot as you'll ever see him throw. Boom! This kid can throw some strikes. He's got a pretty solid game. That time he finishes in perfect balance. And down they go. Emphatically. Wave goodbye. Once again. Wide right. And again, he gets a variety of the washout. This time, a variety of the super washout. The 1-2, 6-10. You can make it on the left side of the head pin or on the right side of the head pin. And the way he throws it with that backup ball, I think he might go for the right side. Might make more sense. And that's exactly what he does, and he converts the washout for the 3rd time in this game. Watch this. The ball's going to hit the right side of the head pin and deflect over into the 6-10. That is perfectly done. And Josh gets away with a crossover strike, and he puts his hands up, palms up, as if to say, well, it's the best I could do this time. It was good enough. And that's a double and increases Josh's lead to 60 pins. Aiden's getting beat scratch. And he's just treading water right now, making these washout combinations. He needs strikes. Flat 10 this time for Josh. He's already made a couple of right corner spares today, so Maybe he's figured it out. He tried to throw that one straight. You could tell he was trying to get his hand around to the left side of the ball, but it still hooked a little bit. He didn't quite get inside the ball, so it's an open frame, but Aiden needs to get busy now. All right, now he seems to have the right lane figured out. Strikes the last 2 times he's thrown on lane 40. And look at his release. See, his fingers are well below the equator of the ball. That's where the power and the revs are in bowling. And even though his hand is behind the ball, not so much on the side, bowling balls today are built to hook. He just comes up the back of the ball. And there's another powerful strike. And I think if we watch him again, we'll be able to get another good look at it. Watch how his hand is behind the ball when he releases it. And still, that ball will make a nice little turn to the left. Just what you want. And 10 in the pin. Whoa, look out. Well, Josh sent that one into the weeds, and he was lucky to get away with 8. But he leaves a pretty easy spare, the 1-2. Just move your feet about 2 or 3 boards to the right, throw it over your strike target. Let that ball cross over. Close enough. Close enough for a conversion, and Josh maintains a 37-pin lead. But now Aiden is starting to charge. He's got 2 in a row, a double working. So Josh would like to put a strike up here in the 9th. But instead, he cuts through the nose and leaves the 3-6-10. Now, he made this earlier, just barely, in the 3rd frame, when he just ticked the edge of the 3-pin. But this time he hits too full on the 3-pin, and it sends the 6 into the gutter, and it can't bounce out and get the 10. So, an open frame. Aiden, a possible 227. If he were to go off the sheet, Josh would need to double in the 10th to beat him. But he comes in thin and nearly got a bucket crumbler, but the 5 remains, and now Aiden is in dire straits. He converts the 5-pin, but here's the situation. The best Aiden can do now with 3 strikes in the 10th is 206. Josh already has 200. If Aiden strikes out in the 10th, Josh would only need 7 pins to beat him. And there's the first strike. He had to have that to have any mathematical chance at all. And now he needs the next one. Get a look at Aiden's footwork. Pretty simple 5-step delivery. Doesn't have much of a crossover step with that first step with his right foot, but the way he swings the ball around his body, it doesn't really matter. That one is wide, and that's going to do it. Josh is your winner of match 2. Can he make it 4 for 4 on the washout? Not this time. So it's gonna be a 193 for Aiden. Josh already has that beat. a spare here and a strike, Josh would finish with a 220. How about that? There's a 7 count, so it's going to be a 217 game with handicap for Josh, who can subtract 42 to get his scratch score. But Josh has climbed the ladder. He's going to face Noah Hogard next. Hey, Prodigy Land, it's me, Coach Randy, with a big thank you to all our Prodigy patrons. I know you hear me come on here every week and ask you to become a Prodigy patron, but it really does help. Believe it or not, I'm not retired, but a lot of the time I could be spending cultivating new clients for my voiceover business. I spend editing Prodigy most weeks. The show actually takes between 35 and 40 hours to edit. It really is a full-time job. And in order to justify spending my time doing that instead of, well, working, I really need to replace some of that income. Otherwise, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So the fact that there are so many of you willing to kick in a few bucks a month helps more than you know. If you want to show your support for the creative work that goes into producing this show about 30 weeks a year, just log on to our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and sign up. This year I simplified the tier system, and it's super easy and affordable. For just $5 a month, you'll get early access to all our full-length episodes of Prodigy Bowlers Tour. That means while the general public typically gets the show on Fridays, you won't have to wait all the way till Friday to watch it. You'll usually get it on Thursday. And for just $10 a month, not only do you get early access to each full-length episode of Prodigy, but you even get your name listed in the end credits as one of the show's executive producers. Like being a big-time Hollywood movie mogul. Except you're not. You're a Prodigy Bowlers Tour executive producer. But hey, that's something. Anyway, if you're already a Prodigy patron, I want to express my sincere gratitude for your support. And if you're not a Prodigy patron, you can become one today. Just click over to patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and become a Prodigy patron right now. It'll make your teeth whiter, your batteries last longer, and your friends will like you even more. Okay, I made that last part up. But you might feel a sense of ownership when you watch Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Thanks again for being a Prodigy head. Well, it was kind of feast or famine for Aiden Bailey in his first appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. He made some spectacular shots and threw some powerful strikes, but he just couldn't put together a string of strikes that would cut into Josh's handicap pins. And in the end, the little guy in the blue glasses just kept closing most of his frames, and that was enough. So it's Josh Greenberg that advances to match 3 in our step ladder. And now he'll face another Prodigy first-timer, Noah Hogard from Canton, Georgia. Noah carries a league average of 144, so he and Josh are much more evenly matched than what we saw in the first 2 matches today. Noah's handicap is 62 and Josh's is 66. That's just a 4-pin differential. So we'll add those 4 pins into Josh's score in the first frame, so you won't have to add a thing. Noah had the option, and he wants to finish last, so that means he'll start the match. And he starts the match with a soft 10. Difference between a soft 10 and a solid 10 or ringing 10 is on the ringing 10, the 6-pin flies up around the neck of the 10. The soft 10, the 6 just lies in the gutter. Either way, you shoot it the same, and Noah converts the spare. Josh just getting 4 pins in handicap differential this time. So he's going to have to beat Noah pretty much straight up if he wants to keep climbing the ladder, that is. Same kind of hit that Noah had. Soft 10. Well, he's had mixed results shooting these right side spares. But this time he gets the 10 to go. So with that spare, he holds a 4-pin lead as we add that handicap differential in to the score in the very first frame. And now, the little guy moves over to lane 39. Comes up a little thin this time. Leaves the 2-4-5. Couple of different ways of shooting this. I like to see him shoot it down the left side of the lane to cut down on the angle of chopping, or you can move about 4 or 5 boards to the right of your strike position and throw it over your strike target. Put it on the 2 and 5. He gets it on the left side of the 2. Either way, it'll go. But that 7 count, which would ordinarily give him 17 in the first frame, working on a spare. But with the 4 pins added in, he has 21. And the lead is down to just 1 pin now, as Noah moves over to lane 40. Look out. Well, that one may have just slipped off his hand. He admitted to his dad that he was a little bit nervous going into this stepladder match. Tell you what, these kids bowl on Prodigy for the first time, and it rattles around between their ears that they've got about 20,000 people watching. It'll make them nervous. But look at this. He comes right back with a solid spare, and that should calm his nerves somewhat. Let's get a look at this kid's style. And one thing I would like to see him fix is all this distance between the ball and his ankle. He loses a lot of power there, and you see where his hand is. You want those fingers below the equator and more behind the ball. That's where the power is. And you see him bend his elbow on the follow-through. I'd like to see him keep that arm straight and follow through toward his target. Thin with that one. We've seen the 2-4-5 already today. Josh made it. And now Noah will get his chance at converting this spare. I suspect he will move slightly to the right from his strike position. Look out. Yep, if you're going to play it down your strike target at the arrows, you want to move your feet about 4 boards to the right, so that ball will cross over to the Brooklyn side and get the 2 and 5. So Josh's lead grows to 26, but it's still early in the match. And that ball took a big turn to the left, as it looked like he let up on the speed a little bit that time. The 4-6-7, not much you can do with this. Just go for the count. Get the 2 on the left. And I don't know if he was trying to slide that 4 over into the 6. You might do that once or twice in your life. You got to hit that 4 so thin to get it over into the 6, because they're on the same row of pins. You're better off just taking the 2 pins. You'll miss the 4 pin more often than you slide it over into the 6. Oh, and he almost had another split there. The 10 goes out late, leaving him with just the 2 pins he should have shot at on the last spare. The 4-7. Oh, he pulled it. He knows it too. Well, that's an unforced error there. Watch it again. If we had a camera out to the right, you'd be able to tell his hand is still in it and the ball is already past his head. He needs to be out of the ball about the time the ball is right under his head. He held on to it too long, and that's going to result in a pull almost every time. And Noah with a solid strike on lane 40. Watch this again, and we'll see his reaction to it this time. I think he liked it. Well, thin again on the left lane. And Noah is finding out what so many of the kids on Prodigy find out, that lane 40 usually hooks a little more than lane 39. Well, he plucked off just the 5 pin the last time he shot at this. And this time he goes left and leaves the 5. So we've talked so many times before on Prodigy Bowlers Tour about the importance of spares. Josh has been a pretty good example of that all day today, as he's made most of his spares, but now he's had back-to-back opens in the 3rd and 4th frames. Of course, he probably wasn't going to make the 4-6-7 in the 3rd, but that missed 4-7 in the 4th looms large, as now his lead is down to just 11 pins. And now he's got a difficult spare. We've seen this made a couple of times today. Aiden made it. The 1-2-8-10. Got to put the ball on the left side of the head pin, drive the 1 over into the 10. And he did it! He played it a little differently than we saw Aiden play it. Aiden threw a backup ball down the left side of the lane. Josh moved right with his feet, threw his normal strike ball, let it drift over to the left side of the head pin, and now watch this. That's exactly the way you draw it up. Well done. And he backs it up with a solid strike as he splits the 8 and 9 with that one. Watch this. You can't throw it any better than this. Crunch. I think that one may have gotten Noah's attention, as he tried to give that one a little something extra at the bottom, and instead of getting the ball to hook more, he just threw it a little harder, and that ball never did take the break. Like hitting a putt through the break on a golf green. He plucks out 4 with that one. But he gets the Brooklyn to carry the spare, and so that keeps the match close. Still just 11 pins separating these two, as we move now to the 7th frame. Noah, who bowls over at Cherokee Lanes in Canton, goes high with that one. Leaves the 6-10. Now it looks like he's gone to a urethane ball. Noah bowls occasionally in the GYBT tournaments, the Junior Gold qualifiers that are held monthly here in Georgia. And he gets the spare. Now, once again, the overhead score sheet that the kids are looking at does not have the handicap added in. They've got to calculate that in their head as they bowl. And once again, Josh leaves the washout, this time the 1-2-4-10. Well, Aiden made the washout 3 times in his match. Let's see if Josh has a couple of washout conversions in his bag of tricks. I'm going to go with no as the answer to that question, as he whiffs the whole thing, and that's going to be very costly. As I mentioned earlier, when you're working on a strike and you leave pins standing, you don't lose those 4 pins once, you lose them twice. Through the nose, leaves the 3-6-10. He's made this once and missed it once. So which way is the coin going to come up this time? He throws a perfect shot at it. But as things stand right now, Noah holds a narrow 5-pin advantage. And so coming down to these last few frames, you can bet that spares are going to play a huge role. Oh. Well, I should say so. On that spare, he gets just 1, so he loses 9 pins in count. And that 5-pin advantage turns into a 4-pin deficit. Lickety split. And now Noah's got to make this spare, or he's going to dig himself a hole. Well, that 5-pin wiggles, but it won't go down. And now Noah trails by 15, heading into the 9th frame. Still, you never know. Spares are coming a little more difficult this match. He breaks down what could have been a challenging spare, the 3-5-6, and now he's just got the 3-pin, so that should make things a little easier. And he covers it, no problem. So now the pressure falls to Josh. He leads by 15. He needs to stay clean the rest of the way. Oh, and he couldn't have timed that strike any better, because that's going to make his job in the 10th a whole lot easier. We'll get a second look at that strike in the foundation 9th and his reaction to it. He knows this is a critical shot, and he loved it. So now the situation is this: Josh needs to fill 16 to win. Well, we've seen Josh do that before. On one of our shows a month or 2 ago, he hit a blower shot. The 5 went over and nearly pushed the 4 off the lane, but it stood. This time he leaves the 4-7. He needs to make it. If Josh should happen to open here, Noah can get up in the 10th, throw 2 strikes, and win the match. I think Josh is going to take a little extra time. He looks down at the approach to set his feet. And it pays off for him. There's the spare. So Noah can throw 3 strikes in the 10th for 151. Josh is at 146. He needs 6 pins here to win. And there you go. And looky here, Josh Greenberg has won the first 3 matches and now finds himself in the championship match, as Noah will go through the motions of finishing out. Takes out a little frustration on that ball, I think. He knows he's beat. But this kid acquitted himself pretty nicely today, I'd say. Got a few things he can work on in his game. They all have something at this age. But he has every reason to be optimistic, as I know he will just keep improving. But for now, it's Josh Greenberg, who is moving on. He'll bowl for the title against Hunter Moffitt next.
Now, bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your bowling center with Prodigy Bowlers Tour t-shirts and sportswear, including collared shirts with the Prodigy logo printed on the back to show that you support junior bowling. Check out the entire assortment of Prodigy t-shirts in the Brownswick store. Visit PRODIGYBowlersTour.com to see the selection. See the ash gray Celebrating Junior Bowling, Elevating Junior Bowlers t-shirt, or the Who Will Win the Coveted Trophy Pin t-shirt. Or maybe you'd want the one that says, I've come to get my bowl on, right on the front of the shirt, or simply, Bowl Me. There's a t-shirt that says, Bowling. You probably don't get it because it's mainly for smart people. And if you're a proud parent with a junior bowler, we've got a t-shirt just for you. And how about this t-shirt? You're bowling an 8th grader. Prepare to meet defeat. Available in grades 1 through 9, most in both adult and kid sizes. And finally, the shirt that reads, Bowl better, have more fun, take lessons. Then maybe you can keep up with me. The Brownswick store is powered by the people at Cafe Press, and all of these shirts are available right now. Just go to PRODIGYBowlerstour.com and click on the link to be taken right to the store. PayPal and credit cards accepted. That's PRODIGYBowlerstour.com. Get your bowl on and bring the spirit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour to your house. Order now. Go to PRODIGYBowlerstour.com. That's PRODIGYBowlerstour.com.
Well, Noah Hogard and Aiden Bailey found out what so many Prodigy first-timers have discovered the hard way, that winning on Prodigy may be a little harder than it looks when you watch the show on YouTube. But both of those young fellows have bright futures ahead. Aiden already has a solid game, and Noah is the product of an excellent youth program at Cherokee Lanes in Canton under the tutelage of Kim Gruen. And I hope he comes back again soon. Both of these visitors were likable young men, and I'd love to work with them on their games. But for now, we have quite a development here. Josh Greenberg has never won a solo title on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and he's never climbed the stepladder to get into a championship match. This reminds me a bit of Prodigy Bowlers Tour episode 37 from October 21st, 2017, when we held another handicap event and the youngest player in the field climbed the ladder on the long and winding road. First, he defeated Christian Manel.
Well, that's the winning ball right there.
Then he eked past Charlie Bostic.
Hunter needs 9 to win. 9 are a strike, 8's a tie, 7's a loser.
And he did it! Then he beat Nolan Kemp, scratch.
All right, here you go. You need 5. I think that'll do it.
And in the championship match, in a virtual David and Goliath showdown, America's favorite 9-year-old at the time, Hunter Moffett, climbed to the top of Prodigy Mountain with a win over Big Logan Mathis. And here we are almost 2.5 years later. Hunter is coming off a season last year when he tied Nick Dissinger as the 2 winningest players on Prodigy. But this season, he's still on the outside looking in, not yet qualified to be in the Prodigy Tournament of Champions in June, and desperately wanting to end his winless drought. And little Josh Greenberg, who has followed in Hunter's footsteps today from that episode 2.5 years ago, trying to duplicate Hunter's feat of climbing the stepladder all the way to the top, would love nothing more than to claim victory. I'll tell you this much, I think Josh is going to need more than another 155 to win this match. Okay, the handicaps. Josh gets 66, Hunter gets 37. That's a difference of 29. So we'll add those 29 pins to Josh's score in the very first frame, so you won't have to add a thing. Hunter had the option, and he has elected to start the match. He puts that opening throw right on the nose, and the 3-pin wobbles and wiggles, but it won't go down. But at least he leaves an easy spare, just the 3-pin. Hunter goes to fetch his urethane ball to shoot at it. And he takes care of it. So a spare to start for our tournament leader. And now Josh. This little guy can be about as nervous and fidgety as they get. At times today, he stayed surprisingly calm, although I know once he came over to me, I just said, breathe. Oh, he breaks up the split. 10-pin goes out late. And he leaves just the 4-7. He's had mixed results shooting this today, but overall, he's done pretty well on his spares. And he gets that one. So both players open the match with a spare, which means Josh has a 29-pin lead thanks to the handicap differential that Hunter is spotting in this game. Oh, look out. Oh, see you later. So that hurts. He gives up 10 pins in count. That 29-pin lead now down to just 19. And a big-time spare to shoot. He goes Brooklyn, and everything goes but the 10, so an open frame. And now that 29-pin lead is down to just 8. And Hunter shreds the rack with that one. He hits that half pocket. Sends the 5-pin over toward the 7. Watch this. You're going to see shrapnel flying everywhere as the headpin goes to the left wall and comes back across. The 5-pin goes over and gets the 7. We'll see his reaction here. This guy has been chomping at the bit, wanting to get back to the winner's circle. A little wide with that one. Hunter, one of the winningest players on Prodigy the last couple of years, but this year he decided to move up to the Roswell Varsity League and compete on Prodigy as a big. And he hasn't found it quite as easy to win. He's still looking for his first title of this bowling season. He's been in the championship match a few times now. Josh shows him he can rip the rack too. Anytime you see the ball hit in that half pocket, not quite full enough on the head pin to be a flush hit. This is kind of the half pocket, but the 5 pin goes over and gets the 4 and 7. That's a shredder there. And he backs it up with a flush hit. So that double increases his lead back to 18. As we see Josh's footwork and the result. And Hunter high once again. And once again breaks down the 3-10 baby split. The 10 goes late. And he's left with a pretty simple spare, the 3 pin. And he takes care of it. Gave that one a little more room. And he just gets the 10 to go, so a strike for Hunter. He uses 6 steps. Everybody has their own way of doing this. Look at Josh stringing the strikes. Lead is back to 29. We're halfway through the match, and we're right where we started, with Josh holding a 29-pin edge. That was a solid strike right there. Can he make it 4 in a row? No, that one jumped at the end. Goes high. And now the 3-6-10. Here's how you make it. Put the ball over to the right side of the 3 pin. Let the ball get the 3 and 6. The 6 will take out the 10. Oh, he nearly chopped it. But that 6 pin just nudges the 10 out. So Hunter, now with a strike working, can cut into the lead. But he goes through the nose and leaves a virtually unmakeable split, the 4-6-7. We saw this earlier in our head-to-head matches. He'll just go for the 2. Gets the count. That's the smart play on that. But now he falls 38 pins behind. Tilts out the 5 and gives himself a chance to make a run here at the end. Watch this. Ball gets out to about the 11th board and just has enough to tilt out the 5 pin. Josh plants one right in the pocket again. And gives thanks to the heavens for that one. Tell you what, put the ball there with that kind of entry angle. They're going to go down most of the time. That was a solid strike. Ringing 10 that time. Good shot. Just didn't quite carry out the corner. But Josh is in the driver's seat. Hunter really has to go to the whip here in the closing frames to get back in the match. Josh gives him an opening, though. An open in the 8th, and now the lead is just 26. Hunter can close it down to 16 with a strike right now. And look out, here he comes. That strike was huge, as it sets him up for the possibility to get within 6 pins if he can throw another strike. Here's this last one that he just got. Once again out to about 11. That's his IQ Tour Emerald. But now he really needs this one. But he comes up thin, leaves the 2-5, and actually spreads the 5 a little wider, making this more choppable. He's got to be careful. A conversion here would give him 155 in the 8th. With a spare up, he can shoot 205. With that conversion, 3 strikes in the 10th would give him 205. Josh is going at a 213 pace. And you think Josh is competitive on the bowling lanes? Here he is taking a tennis lesson. Look at this guy. And he gets another blower. And that really puts him in the driver's seat. Watch this. In the half pocket once again. He's out to about 10. And the 5-pin goes over and does the damage on the 4 and 7. He needs to fill 13 in the 10th for his first solo title on Prodigy. Oh, he breaks down the split. We've seen him do that a few times today. The 10 goes out late, leaving just the 4-7. But now he must make this and then get 3. And he'll shut out Hunter. If he misses this spare, Hunter can get up, double in the 10th, and win. There's the spare. Now remember, back in the second frame, he threw one in the moat. Don't want to do that here. Got to get 3 pins, and he's a lock. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Is that enough?
He says, is that enough? Yes, it is. Josh Greenberg is your winner of the 2020 Thin Mints Open. And Hunter, not pleased. He didn't bowl a bad game. He had 1 open frame when he left the 4-6-7 in the 6th. He's going to finish in the 190s on a tough sport shot. It's a 9 count. He slams his hand on the ball return. I feel your pain, Hunter. Been there, done that. But today it's Josh Greenberg who gets to sign the coveted trophy pin. Next. Now, from the Prodigy Bowlers Tour newsroom, with reports from around the world, across the nation, and up your alley. This is Prodigy Striking News. The 2019-2020 bowling season came to a climactic conclusion for the Georgia Interstate All-Stars traveling team. The All-Stars are part of a 3-state tournament circuit with teams from Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina, with each state hosting a tournament over the course of the season. The first event was in North Carolina last September. Then in October, Georgia hosted an event. And the third and final event of the season was held last weekend in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The big winners in Myrtle Beach were the Georgia age 15 and under boys, who took first place in regulation and total, while the Georgia boys age 16 to 20 took the Baker event. The overall winner over the 3 tournaments were the Georgia kids, who took regulation, Baker, and totals. And congratulations to Prodigy Bowlers Tour veteran and Georgia bowler Matthew Bruce, who took Bowler of the Year honors among the 15 and under boys. It was another successful year for the Georgia Interstate All-Stars, and all of us at Prodigy Bowlers Tour wish to give them a big hearty congratulations. Oh, and out in Las Vegas at the Storm Youth Championships, in the U20 boys division, Prodigy's Charlie Bostic finished in second place out of a field of 78. Big ups to all these kids on a great weekend of bowling.
Every professional bowler has an arsenal of his own, special weapons for special lane conditions. Now, you can have your own arsenal in just 2 bowling balls from AMF. The AMF 3-Dot Classic in hard rubber for normal lane conditions. And now the AMF 3-Dot Classic in soft rubber for lanes that demand more traction. Hard rubber 3-Dot, soft rubber 3-Dot. The arsenal from AMF.
Never could give up unless I never thought you tried to get this right. Cinnamon riddling, blasting out of North Grams. Woke up in a dream that didn't feel right, begging for another game.
What a display of consistency by Josh Greenberg today. In what some will term an improbable win, Josh demonstrated an uncanny knack for closing most of his frames, something we've seen him struggle with in the past. But today, for whatever reason, he remained surprisingly calm and made most of his spares. And he strung together a few strikes here and there, just often enough to make it next to impossible for his opponents to catch him. And while I know Hunter Moffett is especially disappointed in his runner-up finish after that big 238 game he fired in the second qualifying game, he should be proud of the fact that he once again got himself in position to have a chance to win it all today. If he keeps knocking on the door, sooner or later he's gonna bust the door down. And when that happens, it'll be all that much sweeter. But today, it's Josh Greenberg who finds himself in the Prodigy Bowlers Tour Winner's Circle.
This is the first time this has ever happened. Josh Greenberg, or actually, as our young superfan dubbed you earlier today, Josh Greenberger has just done something he's never done before. He's run the stepladder, winning all 4 matches, and for the first time ever, he has won a singles title on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, and I've got great news for you. Not only do you get to sign the Coveted Trophy Pin today, but because we call this the Thin Mints Open, you get a box of Thin Mints, the Girl Scout cookies. Yay! And you get to sign. You can sign the box of Thin Mints if you like, but the only requirement is that you sign the, he's actually going to do that. He's going to sign the box of Thin Mints, and then he's going to eat them. That's okay. That is the most ridiculous thing we've seen today. And now you sign the Coveted Trophy Pin, the thing that you really came here for.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to know. You bowled some pretty good bowlers today. You went through Christian and Aiden Bailey and Noah and Hunter, who dazzled everybody in the qualifier. But you bowled some pretty good bowlers, and were you nervous at all?
Yes. Yes, I was.
How did you deal with that?
I was just breathing.
That's a good bit of advice, is when you're nervous, breathe. Well, congratulations. There's our champion.